Namaste. I am so excited to be with you today. We have got a great guest with us who I've known for a while through email, and it's so lovely to be able to actually meet her in person now. And her name is Noemi Beres, and she is best known for her unique and witty mixed media hand sewn collages on canvas made from old photos, postcards, colorful yarn, textiles, and old buttons. And she really loves collecting small bits and pieces that she finds fascinating and then incorporates them into this mixed media collage that usually has a vintage vibe. And for those of you watching this today on YouTube, you may there's a couple pieces which I'll let her point out in a little bit. But I want to just really welcome you, and I'm looking forward to talking about your fascination with art and how you use it in a way that I think will be really interesting for our audience. So welcome to Live, Love, Engage.
Thank you so much for having me on your show, Gloria. And finally, we met in virtually in person.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So, and just, hey, let's just put in a plug for your other business before we dive into the art. So how is it that we actually connected? Tell our audience that.
I'm actually the co-owner of the Podcast Connections podcast booking agency, and I've been working with Gloria for some time now. I can't even remember when we started working together, some like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And and we help entrepreneurs to connect to quality podcast shows, and that's my day job. That's what I do for a living. And I really enjoy connecting these awesome female and male entrepreneurs across the world. I'm based in Cyprus, but I'm originally from Hungary, from Central Europe, and I'm connecting people in the US, Canada, UK. So we are all over the place.
I love it. I love it. But when you told me about you actually reached out to pitch yourself for a change, and I thought that was so cool. And especially when you told me what you did. So I would love for you to start off and tell our audience a little bit about, what got you interested in art, and especially doing like collages and things like that.
I was always fascinated by art, Gloria, since I was a kid. And I always did some drawing, painting, jewelry making. I was growing up with art around me. And when my parents took me to other parts of Europe and we went on holidays, we always went to galleries and museums. And I was always fascinated by it. And so I loved all part of it. But collage making came later on in my life. When I was expecting with my son 10 years ago, almost 11, I actually discovered collages. I don't know how it came into my life, but I just used like these old buttons and old pictures and all bits and pieces, as you mentioned at the beginning of the show. And I was just so fascinated by it that there's these small bits and pieces can create a complete piece of work and art. And it was just pretty awesome. So that's when I discovered it. And the hands-on collage that I'm making right now, actually that started in 2020 when COVID hit. And life became pretty stressed, and I was short of art supplies in Cyprus because we were to very strict regulations. We couldn't go to the shops. We ordering online, it's not what is natural thing in Cyprus. So I had to started to repurpose my old canvases, and I upcycled some of them because I love upcycling. And that's when I started to basically hand sew collages and not using glue or anything, and not using paper, but using these buttons, these postcards, these photos. And that's how I started to create my hand sewn collages. But I also make digital collages, and I had a couple of like group exhibitions in Cyprus, in Italy, and I love doing that. And my dream is to have a solo show one day. Hopefully that's going to happen sooner than later.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure it'll be wonderful because I too, I think collages are really interesting. I think one of my past clients was an artist. She was a digital artist, but I think some of the things she made sort of incorporated a lot of different symbols and different pictures and things, and then would all make this, something new. But I know part of, I understand, I think that how you got into art is also helping, well, and I guess especially with COVID, but do you find that it has helped you, or actually just how has it helped you? Let's say personally, how has that helped you?
Yeah, unfortunately I lost my dad to cancer in 2019. And right after that, it was a long battle with cancer. And after that, my grandma passed away because of an accident in the same year after a couple of months. And it was a lot. And then COVID hit. And so it was just like, oh my God, this world, is collapsing around me and us and my family. I don't have brothers. I don't have sisters. I only have my mom and my only son. So it was a pretty stressful time of my life. And I didn't know how to cope with it. But then I thought it's like, I always turn to art when I had any kind of problem in life. So let's do that now, and let's just, upcycle these canvases and just start doing something, because I need that energy. And that's how I started. And that's how it helped me to cope with grief and to cope with loss. I think it's the best way to turn to art, because art is such a safe and cannot hurt you. And no matter how disturbing you may think your project appears, it's much healthier to put it out there than keep it bottled inside you, because that would just cause stress and trauma, and you become ill, or anything can happen. And that's how it helped me to cope with grief, basically.
Well, I think that's really great that you were able to do that. And it makes so much sense too, because when you can focus your attention on something else instead of your problems, and especially when you're doing something creative like that, I think it really takes your mind out of the mundane, day-to-day things, and you just really get to really connect, I like to say even spiritually, connect with your higher self, and just be able to, bring in something new and beautiful into the world. So it's wonderful that you were able to do that. Have you ever thought about, maybe, because doing this, maybe to help other people as well? Because I know there are some people who do, like, they do art therapy or just there's like things called like intuitive art and things like that. Have you ever thought about maybe not necessarily right now, but maybe down the road doing something in addition to having your show one day?
Yes, actually, I did. I'm a member of a women network group, and I had a chat with a lovely lady from that group. And when I told my story to her, she told me, it's like, she said exactly the same thing that you all told me before. It's like, have you thought about this? Like, I haven't, but now you're telling me it's probably a good idea. So that's actually in my agenda and one of my goals as well, to help other people, because I'm a self-taught artist. I never went to school. This is everything just intentional for me, and it's coming from my soul, from deep down there. But I suppose if it helped me, it can help other people too, and I can help them as well.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: the pieces that you create, do you see them as something like, there's a certain theme, or maybe this one, really expresses a certain feeling? Have you, or is it just in the moment, and it's just, I just want to just see what I can pull together? What have you found about that?
The funny thing is that, for example, I made some dark collages. I called my dark digital collages. Those were digital collages, and especially after my dad passed away. So everything was pretty dark, and I couldn't get away from it. I couldn't use colors. I couldn't do anything. And that was my dark collages phase. But then when I started to heal, and my grieving process went on, it helped me started to use colors, and it became like more lively, or more like happier, if I can put it that way. And yes, it does impact your art. But sometimes it's, some people think that, like, I made another collage, a hand-sewn collage, and I gave it to my cousin. And he said, it's like, oh my God, there's so much energy in it. And the red and the yellow and the orange. And it's like, okay, that's cool. And I never thought about that. But obviously art means something to so many people, and it means different things to different people, and you can explain it whatever you want. And it's like, the artist thought about that or this. Not really, but if you think that's right for you, and that's your imagination, and it's your mind and intuition telling you that's fine. I mean, your
That's true. Yeah.
subconscious is working. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a very subjective thing. I mean, because like, if you just, I don't know if you go through to galleries or anything and just look at different pieces. I know when I've done, I'll look. In fact, I was actually on a trip to New Mexico recently for my birthday, and my son had treated me to the Albuquerque Balloon Festival, and we went to
Wow.
Santa Fe, which is nearby, and they have all these lovely different art galleries. And you walk in, and some of these pieces, I'd go, this is art. I don't know. I mean, it just seems like somebody slapped some paint up there. And yeah, then there would be other pieces that again might have been simple, but it was just something about it that just definitely drew me in. And so it is interesting that everybody, reacts to things differently. And who knows? I guess that's a good thing about it, I suppose. At least it makes it more individual.
Absolutely. Yeah. And sometimes when I pick images or photos for my collages, they start to interact with each other. Like intuitively, you just put some pictures together and they do work together. And that's funny how they work together, and they just come from somewhere, from your subconscious. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's true. And I've actually done something. I don't know if you've, I don't want to forget. Oh, I know what it's called. It's called soul collage. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's a really cool practice of where you just take a bunch of different pictures, you put them together. Usually they have them on just like a small, I think it's like maybe 7 by 5 inch board, and you just put them, glue them on there, and then afterwards you kind of look at the picture and you sort of ask your higher self to say, okay, so what is this trying to tell me? And see what comes up. Have you ever done that? Maybe looked at one of your pieces afterwards and saying, I wonder what was trying to tell me after the fact.
I never heard this expression soul collage, but I love it because it sounds so awesome. But no, actually, yes, that's like answering to your question. It's absolutely. Sometimes when you finish up something, it's like, okay, so wow, this is what does it say, and what's the message? And yeah, it's interesting. But most of the time, you don't think about it when you finish something. And then, like recently, I made a couple of pieces, and they included a couple of postcards that we bought, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago when we were on holiday, and when we used to buy postcards, because you don't really do it anymore. But I just found them. It's like, and because we live in Ireland before Cyprus, and it's like, oh, these lovely postcards from Ireland, and these are so crazy, and I can use them, in different places, and these are our memories, and I just hang them on the wall, and when I look at them, it's like, oh my God, I love that picture and love that vibe, and I love that feeling when we were, walking there in Ireland, and it comes together.
Very cool. What advice would you have for someone maybe who's, let's say maybe they're going through a tough time right now, and maybe they want to be able to find some sort of outlet to help them move through it. What would you say to them?
Just do it. It doesn't really matter what you do. You don't have to be an artist, or you don't have to go to school or a course to do a course to do something, but you can knit, you can crochet, you can paint, just buy a canvas and just paint, and or draw or make a collage. It's so easy. You just need glue paper and put it together, and because it helps. Even the repetitive and soothing action of making art, it's kind of a meditation. You arrive to a different place and space in your head, and you definitely find your inner peace and calm from it. So it doesn't really matter what you do. You can use anything. Just do it. Just start doing it, and you don't have to show it to anyone. You can just keep it to yourself. You don't have to organize an exhibition or anything like that, but it just for your own entertainment and for your own help.
Yeah. Oh, well, I appreciate that, and I think everyone out there will as well. Has there ever been a time when you've been working on a piece and you just get like, oh, this was a mistake or something like that? Have you ever felt like, oh, why did I do this? Or just, thrown in the towel and said, let me start over?
When I repurposed those canvases, during
Oh,
pandemic, it's like I didn't like them. It's like, no, this is not good, because there was some paintings I'd done, and I'm not so sure about my paintings, and I'm much better doing collages. And it's like, okay, I don't like that, but I incorporated those paintings in my collages so they didn't go waste. And you can still see it's a painting, but I used in the different ways. So you can always make something of something. So upcycle stuff. So it helped me in a way to recreate them or give them another life. And they are still hanging on my walls, and I like them now, but I didn't really like them before. So yes, of course, I think everybody has the same feelings. Oh, I don't like that one.
yeah. And I think I'm glad that you were able to share that, because I think sometimes we're our own worst critics about things. And I think in this process, it's not really important, how good it is, or something like that. What's more important, I think, is the feelings that you get while you're doing it, and maybe the feeling you might have afterwards. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm just so excited when I make something big. It usually takes me 1 or 2 weeks to finish, when I have time to finish an artwork. I'm in no rush. I always take my time, because for me, I can say that the journey is much more important for me than the destination. So when I finish a work, when I finish something, a canvas, and it's like, oh, that's so sad. I would love to, make a couple of, add some stuff to it, but sometimes less is more. So you don't have to overflow it with things. But sometimes I'm just sad when I finish something. It's like, okay, I have to get on it. And when I have something on my mind, so, okay, I have to work on something, I have to start immediately, because that's my flow, and I don't want to lose my flow when I start doing something. But sometimes it makes me sad when I finish something. It's like I didn't want to finish it yet.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you mentioned like the flow, because that was leading me at what I was thinking about. I wanted to ask you is, how have you ever found, like, you got your day job, and like, oh, but you're like, oh, maybe you got into some time where you're creating this, like, oh, I have to go to work now. I mean, have you ever had that? And how do you kind of balance? Have you found a way to be able to balance, having some fun, but then also, doing the things that you need to do to pay the bills?
Yeah, that's the thing in life, that I'm pretty organized, because my job expects me to do that. I'm kind of master organizer in the agency, so I don't have time to do art usually during the day. But when the night comes, and when the evening comes, and when the weekend comes, that's my time, and that's when I shine and I can do my stuff. And my family respects that, and they know that I need that time. So, and doing collages, especially when they hand sewn, you can do it even in bed. So I'm putting on my audio books, because I love listening to audiobooks, and I can do two things at the same time. So I'm listening to my favorite audiobooks plus doing my collages, and that's the ultimate relaxation for me, like during a busy work week or during weekend. And I can do that anywhere. But I always have a bit of dedicated time doing that, because I just need it. I just need it in my life.
Wow. Well, that's good. But I'm wondering what type of audiobooks, because I can imagine it can't be something that where you have to like learn something, because that's not going to go with the creativity. So I'm assuming you're like listening to fiction or something.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I'm a big romantic, and I love all kind of funny books, romantic books. But when I'm listening to my self-help books, or any kind of book that it's more important, and I have to make notes or anything, obviously I can do that at the same time. They're just the easy listening and bestsellers, and I'm a bookworm. I love reading, and I'm listening to books. I love everything about books. So for me, it doesn't really matter as long as I'm listening to something.
Well, very good. And yeah, I agree with that as well. It's nice to be able to have time to be able to listen to. I listen to audiobooks when I go for a walk in the morning, because that's a good way for me to be able to get some time in to do that. I wanted to ask you, and yeah, what I love asking my guests this question. So what are you curious about right now?
That's a great question. I'm curious about myself. I want to, I don't know, it's so funny because I reached a certain age. I'm like, it's not no secret, I'm 43, so I never kept secret about it. And I think after 40 I reached a certain age when I want to learn more about myself, because I was in the past 10 years I was so busy with work, with my son, with school, with life, with family, with sickness, illness in the family, and I just didn't have time for myself to think about who I am really in the world, and what's my purpose in life. And I think when I reached 40, I just became more curious about myself and how to do the next phase. I reached like to a certain age now, and yeah, that's what I'm curious about right now.
Yeah, it's not surprising. I think there is something about that sort of magical age. I think between like or that time between like in our 40s when we do start looking at our life again, especially as women, and particularly if we have had kids, because then they're usually they're getting older, they're starting to not need us quite as much, although they will always need you, but it's not to that same degree as when they were little, and you do finally have a chance to start reflecting and saying, okay, yeah, what do I want to keep doing with the rest of my life? So um, I'm sure you will figure it out, and I'm sure, I suspect that art is still going to be a big part of that. What you're doing. Um, is there, well, actually, and this kind of is a good question. So as you're pondering this, so is there anything that you haven't had a chance to do in your life that you think that maybe down the road I would like to try my hand at?
A bit more traveling, because before our son was born, we traveled a lot, especially in Europe and Morocco, and I always loved traveling. But now, because you have a child, he goes to school, and then COVID and everything happened, and I missed traveling. We still travel between Hungary and Cyprus because that's where my mom lives. But I missed that part. I would like to discover places I haven't been to, like Iceland or Greenland, because I speak Scandinavian languages. So for me, Scandinavia is always like a plays an important part in my heart, or the Faroe Islands and like very remote places like that. So, and yeah, for example, traveling, and this one of the part. And the other thing that I would love to do more, making some music, because I'm not a musician at all. I love singing, but I'm okay-ish. And I have a hand pen. I don't know if you probably use.
I have one
yes.
too. Yeah.
Oh my God, we are hang buddies. I got it from my mom for my 40th birthday. That was her gift to me, and I love it. And I would love to be not a professional player, but I would love to play more on it and more professionally. Probably that will be one of our other goals, but that's also an artistic goal for me, I guess. But it's so relaxing, and I love it. So
yeah, I got mine for Christmas last year, a year ago.
Yeah,
and I've still just have been kind of dabbling with it and haven't really done that much, but it is so nice. So yeah, so just. In fact, it's in my closet, like right over there. I'll have to dig it out. Maybe I'll do that after I get done recording this interview today, and just kind of.
Yeah, you should. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Is there anything else that I haven't asked you about, with art that I should have, that you'd like, or any other point about it that would like our audience to know?
Yeah, I think it's just the stuff that I mentioned before, that how safe art is. And it's also important to know about art, that it's proven that the creation of art is always increases the serotonin level in your brain. So you won't get depressed if you do art. So it's also, instead of like, getting medicines and doing stuff, drinking or whatnot, just do some art, because it helps you to reveal your true self and helps you to cope with anything in life. And even it can be dancing or singing, and it doesn't matter. I listened to it was, I think, probably I can mention them, the Shift Network. You probably know them as well. It's a huge network, and they always have great interviews and great people on their shows. And I heard about the singing therapy they're using, and different sound therapy, what you can do, how you can help your body to relieve stress. And for example, that's a part of an art form as well, like singing and making different noises and sounds. So yes, it's just using our creativity and just losing ourselves in it. It's just so important, and then it will help us to cope with anything in life or anything life throws to us at us.
That's for sure. I know. Oh gosh, this was a while ago, but I had something else, something was going on in my life, or something that day that happened or something. And for whatever reason, well, I know I think I started off by just like cleaning my office, and then I wound up putting on some music and I was dancing around my office, and it was just so much fun, because I used to take dance lessons when I was a kid, and I still miss it. I really enjoyed it. I took ballet, tap, and jazz, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, whatever kind of creative outlet that you can find is, no matter what it is, I think it's so good for, it's good for your mental health, and it can be good probably for your physical health as well, and certainly good for your emotional health, and have fun with it. And I think no matter what, I think that's probably, if whatever you're doing, just make sure that you have some fun at it, because that's what life's all about. That's what the show's about, right? It's about living fully,
Yes.
loving deeply, and all of that. So let's go have some fun in life. So I'm so glad that we were able to connect, and that we have a lot in common too. I'm finding out, which cracks me up. But again, it's no surprise. The universe brings the right people into my life, and you're certainly one of them. Now, if someone listening to this today would like to maybe see some of your art, and even though you don't have a show, I believe you have some available somewhere online, I think, that people can see it. So where can they do that?
Yeah, if you type my name in, it's noemiberes.com. You will find me. And those mostly are my paper collages that I made before. And if you check out Instagram, if you're Instagram, you can check for Noemi Beres Art. And I'm also on Facebook. It's Collage by Noemi Beres. So different places where you can find me. It's not always updated. Shame on me, but yes, I'm up there as well, and I try my best to update it as much as I can.
Well, you are a busy lady, so I understand that, and
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody will too. But I will have all of that information in the show notes, so you will be able to connect with Noemi, and be able to see all the wonderful stuff she's up to in the world. And if you are someone who wants to get booked on a podcast, also contact her for that as well. Because she's found some good guests for me on the show. And I know that, you can, that's your other business. So we can put in a plug for that as well.
Thank you so much for your kind words, Gloria. Absolutely. We can help anyone with that too.
Very good. Well, thank you so much again for being with us. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to connecting with you in the future, and I'm sure everybody else will as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Gloria. I really appreciate it.
And I also want to just, as usual, extend a big thank you to all of you out there who are listening and watching. And I really do appreciate it. And if you got value out of today's episode, please share it with a friend, and leave a comment for us. Our review on Apple Podcasts will be wonderful, and because that'll help other people find our show. So that'll be great too. So until next time, as always, I encourage you to go out, and as I mentioned earlier, go out and live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically.